Hello everybody and welcome to another Doctor Who review. This time it's another Big Finish audio adventure, The Stones of Venice. The third of the first series of 8th Doctor stories, starring Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor and India Fisher as Charlie Pollard. Here's a quick rambling description of the plotline. Count Orsino has been mourning the loss of his love Estella for 100 years. He is the Count of the city of Venice, which is slowly crumbling away. There's a curse on Venice. Estella and Orsino should meet again in 100 years, but there's no sign of his love. The Doctor and Charlie escape some machinations on another planet and decide to take a holiday in Venice. They come to a place that looks dilapidated and fallen apart. The Doctor realises that Venice is coming to its end and going into a lagoon, and soon get caught up in the machinations and the plot lines leading up to the big party to celebrate the destruction of Venice. The Doctor ends up meeting with Churchwell, the conservator of all the artworks that Count Orsino holds. Charlie, on the other hand, has met up with one of the gondoliers. Pietro is partly amphibious, and he takes Charlie to his kind. There, a plot is hatched where Estella's original wedding dress is put on Charlie. Charlie is hypnotised. Pietro takes her to the ballroom, where Orsino is having one last party. She kind of convinces, through her hypnotism, that she is Estella, and Orsino accepts it and agrees for a wedding at dawn. The Doctor and Churchwell have been caught by the cult that worships Estella. Vincenzo, the leader, believes that there is a painting of Estella, which Churchwell, as far as he's concerned, knows does not exist. And for 100 years, Vincenzo and his cult have been trying to get that picture so they can reincarnate Estella at the appropriate time. The Doctor and Churchwell find the tomb of Estella and open it to find it empty. They get caught by Vincenzo, and a bargain is made that the Doctor and Churchwell will go to the Ducal Palace where the party is happening and ask Orsino to give a portrait over in exchange for Churchwell's life. They arrive, and Orsino is a bit confused, a bit annoyed, and decides to go with Vincenzo to the tomb. When they're down there, the tomb is opened and they realise that Estella has gone. All this time, an old lady called Miss Lavish has been striding and making demoralising and defamatory remarks about Venice crumbling to the world and showing a great disdain for it all. It's revealed that she is Estella and has grown old, while Orsino has stayed the same age. It's revealed that Estella is an alien, and the Doctor had managed to find 2 bits of her jewellery in the tomb when they opened it earlier on. Estella believes that the time has come for Venice to die, and Venice was crumbling quicker due to a curse that she put on it to keep Orsino alive. She's bitter, and it's Orsino that realises the way to save everybody is to go and use the bracelet. Estella joins him and reverses the decay of Venice. Okay, let's get on with the cast and have a talk about all the characters. We have the Doctor, played by Paul McGann. Third story in, and I think McGann's starting to find his feet as the Doctor. The fact that there's a lot of prevaricating, there's a lot of, I can do this, I can do that, I understand what's happening, the bohemian aspect that's come through from the TV movies back there again. I'm starting to enjoy the way the character has been played here. It's showing that McGann's growing in confidence in the recordings of the character. And he's starting to have his own dry, sarcastic wit coming into it as well, which is really nice to see. I think he plays well against Charlie as always. I think that's really the great role. The fact that he's maybe over-talking too much gives me so much thinking of some of the earlier Doctors. I think it's more a kind of, not Pertwee, but Troughton-esque and Tom Baker-esque aspects coming out a little bit. The constant talking, the constant yabbering. Obviously that's there for audio's sake, but that's coming into the character now, a lot more descriptive is happening. It's very evoking of later Doctor Who in regards to Jodie Whittaker's era. It's very word heavy, but then it gets an audio drama, it's got to be for that. But usually the disposition and the exposition is done by the other characters. A lot of it is done with the Doctor describing things and running things along, running the show, and it's showing the character of the Doctor in a a different light here. I think this is the first time Big Finish have decided, we have a blank slate here, let's try and develop and work on it, and I think they're doing that here with Paul McGann's Eighth Doctor, with McGann's influence, of course, and the characterisation and the understanding of the character comes from McGann in truth. We then have Charlie, played by India Fisher. Yeah, she's in the role now. She knows what she's doing. Playing slightly naive Charlie at times, but that wistful, dry sarcasm that Charlie has about the Doctor's attitude, and she's split from the Doctor for quite a bit of this, and she's a bit resentful about it, which comes across in the performance. And yeah, Charlie has a bit of perils of pulling moment. She gets hypnotised and drugged, but is still quite independent, really, and tries to help where she can, but yeah, it's an interesting dynamic that the two of them have now. They obviously do care for each other. That's pretty obvious from the conversations they have with each other and outside each other. It's obvious the Doctor feels responsibility, and Charlie doesn't want the Doctor to be away for too long because he's this access to a whole different world that she was never used to. We then have Churchwell, played by Nick Scovell. Interesting curator. I do like the way it's played. It's kind of like a slightly whiny character at times, but Churchwell has got reasons for trying to keep his own neck because he knows about Vincenzo. He knows about Vincenzo's cult. He's been trying to avoid Vincenzo's cult for years. He's a bit frustrated that Orsino is not taking part in enjoying the collection that he's grown over this time, but it's played with that kind of exasperated assistant creator feel of somebody who's trying to keep him in the right crowd, obviously is certainly within the institutions of the Ducal Palace, and is a bit exasperated with all the changes and all the running about he does for that evening with the Doctor. Nick Scovell plays it quite well. We then have Pietro, played by Barnaby Edwards. Interesting little character. I like the way Pietro is played. I think Pietro is an interesting character. The fact these gondoliers have evolved into kind of amphibious creatures who will take over the lagoon after Venice crumbles. These creatures of the water lagoon. It's very evoking of early sci-fi tropes in that respect. Pietro himself is more of a reasoned character compared to some of his fellow gondoliers, and he plays it with that kind of kind but still wary point of view, which is really nice to hear and see, and I did enjoy the way it was put across here by Barnaby Edwards. We then have Miss Lavish, ultimately Estella, Elaine Ives Cameron. Very jaded, she's very dry in her thoughts and feelings. She's always putting down Venice. She always feels that people have been dregs and she's feeling downtrodden. It's obviously backed up with the fact that she's actually Estella and actually is feeling bitter for the whole fact that she's got old and Orsino hasn't. That's all part of the curse and the technology she has. And you could tell very early on that she was probably an important part of it because she keeps coming up. Estella keeps coming up. And that's just the way it comes across. It's nicely played. You've then got Mark Gatiss chewing the scenery as Vincenzo. When he plays kind of wicked characters, he does play him well. He is playing like a Victorian baddie in some respects. It's quite funny, but he likes chewing the scenery. And Mark Gatiss, I think you need that with a cult leader like that. You need somebody to chew the scenery, and Mark Gatiss does a good job at doing that. And it's not a bad performance. The standout guest casting is Michael Sheard playing Count Orsino. I've left him till last because he is the understated performance. Like Gareth Thomas 2 stories before, his casting here kind of uplifts the whole piece. Michael Sheard has never got this very big pompous voice. He's got RP, but he's always played kind of more feeble and more melancholy characters in his time in Doctor Who, because he has played multiple roles in Doctor Who previously. So he's been in a few Doctor Who's before this, and he knows the territory. But the character, they've cast the right person for this, because he does create this melancholy very well. His voice lends to it, and it does come across as the most interesting character. It's a little bit annoying at the beginning. Orsino keep moaning and moping, but once you get into it and understand the background to it and the fact that he really is just given up, it does come across here from Michael Sheard. That's why I think it's probably the best guest cast performance we have of this story. Interesting bits in here, the whole fact that everybody's accepted that Venice is crumbling. There is that environmental aspect there. It's interesting, the 23rd century that Venice is crumbling in, which is quite poignant with all the environmental things that have happened more recently. But it's a nice little background to put it on. Venice is sounds beautiful. It doesn't look beautiful because there's no audio drama, but it sounds beautiful. They've really tried to evoke the local area with the noises and the sounds and that. The sound design itself by Andy Hardwick and the music are very complementary of each other. The cliffhangers are very much, this is where the big stabber music comes in, and the first two cliffhangers involve Churchwell and the Doctor both times. Which was interesting. They get caught by the cult in the first one. The second one, they're getting taken over by the amphibious people in the boat, Vincenzo's boat, just close to the Ducal Palace. It's interesting. But the music comes in there, and it's kind of like big, oh, this is an exciting bit, this is the cliffhanger, do-do-do. It's resolved more or less straight away in the second episode. The third episode, there's a couple of scenes before we see what's happened to the Doctor and Churchwell, because it looks like they potentially have drowned. It's interesting how that comes out. Paul Magers is very good with the writing here. It's pretty solid. It's a nice story. It goes from A to B without much issue. I actually quite like the way it's been portrayed and recorded here. I think it's so far one of the better of the Big Finish audio adventures, especially the Paul McGann ones. I don't know, there's something that makes it a little bit more interesting for me. It's directed well by Gary Russell. I think the kind of direction on here is needed. It needs a bit more proper guided direction for this because of the nature of the plot lines, because it is back and forth, and effectively it's two sets of stories. The Doctor and Charlie are split up. The story evolves around their interactions, and I think you do need a bit of control with that direction. It's not like Sword of the Rhine where you can have more of an opinion piece because the plot line's quite obvious. This moves about quite a bit, so you do need that kind of more steady direction, which Gary Russell does quite well. Overall, I quite like this. I quite like the Stones of Venice. I wouldn't say it is quite highly rated like the Apocalypse Element. I am just going to give it 4 TARDISes out of 5. Okay, let's see how that story stacks up with the rest of the Big Finish audio dramas I've reviewed so far. So The Stones of Venice is the third story to have a rating of 4 TARDISes out of 5. It joins The Genocide Machine and The Spectre of Lanyon Moor. At the top is The Apocalypse Element with 4.5 TARDIses out of 5, and at the bottom are still 2 stories with 3 TARDIses out of 5, The Land of the Dead and Winter for the Adept. That's it from me. Tell me what you think about The Stones of Venice. Leave a comment down below. Do you like it? Leave a comment down below. Do you not like it? Leave a comment down below. And if you like this video, please like it, share it with the hashtag teamstructor, and hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell so you know when a new video comes out. General rule, new video every Sunday at 4 PM GMT. That's when the next video comes out, and it's actually the first impressions of the Star Beast. That's going to be exciting. Anyway, apart from that, if you want to help follow in other ways and find out what the latest information is going on and have some more interaction in the socials, you can go to the Facebook page. The list of all the ratings of the Doctor Who reviews done so far are on there. That's also on the Patreon. Also, you can go and check out the YouTube community tab. You can go to the Instagram. You can go to X, formerly Twitter. All you need to do is search in all those cases deanstructor. That's it from me. I'll see you on Sunday with my first impressions of the Star Beast. Really excited to have that happening. First Doctor Who in a year. The Whoniverse is growing. Thanks for watching and listening, of course, guys. And until next time, do you know what? I'll see you later.